Hey YouTubers, it's Charlie. This is going to be my Suicide Squad 2 video. You heard that right. Warner Brothers has already started working on Suicide Squad 2, even though the first movie hasn't even come out yet. There are a couple big reasons why studios do stuff like that. They know Suicide Squad's going to make a lot of money, but they don't know how much. And that could change when the movie is released. It's going to take them at least 2 years to make it. So what's probably going to happen is you're going to see a Suicide Squad movie in the fall of 2018. Now, in case you guys weren't sure when all the DC movies are coming out, they already have several on the schedule. Here's a breakdown of that real quick, starting after the first Suicide Squad movie. So we have that coming out this fall. Then there's Wonder Woman, June 2017. Justice League Part 1, November 2017, later that year. Then the year after that, the Flash movie's coming out in March 2018. Then the Aquaman movie, July 2018, that summer. Then the next year in 2019, Shazam is coming in April. Justice League Part 2 is coming that June 2019. Then the year after that in 2020, Cyborg is coming in April, and the Green Lantern Corps movie is coming June 2020. So what will probably happen is DC will release 3 films in 2018. They'll have The Flash in March, they'll have Aquaman in July, and then they'll probably release Suicide Squad around the same time they're releasing it this year. Sometime between August at the end of the summer and the fall. They could push it to as late as November. There really isn't a Marvel film that's going to be released in the fall of 2018, so there's no real big competition. The other really big reason why they'd probably want to start working on a sequel now is because they need to schedule all the actors so they don't get booked doing other projects. Now, I'm sure when all the actors signed on to do this first Suicide Squad film, their contracts had options for sequels, but that might not include all the actors. DC doesn't have the same type of contracts that Marvel makes people sign. Marvel makes people sign a standard 6-picture deal unless it's a special one-off performance, like Robert Redford in Winter Soldier. Robert Redford isn't going to do 6 Marvel films, so while the big DC players like Ben Affleck, Henry Cavill, Gal Gadot, they all sign multi-film contracts. Those aren't nearly as restrictive as Marvel's, so a lot of times if it can take too long to get a movie going, an actor will get busy with another project, and they wouldn't be able to film the sequel movie. It would cause huge problems, so the earlier studios can lock actors' schedules down, the better. David Ayer does have another project that he's working on. He would still direct Suicide Squad 2, but they need somebody else to write the movie. And if they're going to get a sequel out by 2018, they need to start shooting in 2017, meaning they have to have a script before that, so they have to get started right now. But I can see some of you in the background raising your hands. What about all the Batman solo films? What about the Man of Steel sequels? You didn't mention those on all those dates. None of those movies have official dates yet. So what I would expect is that they just cram them in and you'll see 3 movies a year, 3 DC movies a year starting after Justice League, which sounds about right. Marvel's going to be doing the exact same thing. So that's like 6 comic book movies a year starting around 2018, not even including any Star Wars films. You kind of include Star Wars in that bunch too. The next really big question is, what would they do for the story? Like, what is the best Suicide Squad story they could do for the sequel? Well, the problem is that we don't know what the first movie's all about, and the sequel will just flow naturally from whatever ends up happening. But whatever's going on, I'm guessing that the Joker's relationship with Harley Quinn will be another central part of the series. Rather than do like a Harley Quinn spin-off or a Joker spin-off movie, you'll just have a through line of those 2 characters embedded throughout the series. But standard operating procedure for a sequel to a movie with a bunch of characters is that you just take one of the underserved characters from the first film, who was really interesting, and double down on them. Enchantress is a really good example of that. They've been selling her as being a big part of the film, but what if she only ends up being a little bit of it? She ends up being this amazing character that you only see a little bit of. Well, you use the sequel to tell the story that she didn't get to tell in the first movie. You kill off 1 or 2 of the minor characters, bring in a new one to freshen things up, to change the tone of the film just a little bit. And my great hope is that they would go after someone from the Justice League franchise, like Suicide Squad versus Batman, or if Deathstroke is a really small part of the Suicide Squad film, it'd be Suicide Squad versus Deathstroke for the sequel. I'd say I'd want them to do Judas Contract because that's one of the best Deathstroke stories of all time, but that's really a Teen Titans story, so they would save that for the Cyborg film or whatever Teen Titans project they're going to try and do in the movies. The New 52 Suicide Squad stories really aren't that great, but that's when Harley Quinn became a big part of the team, so I'd rather they just stick with the tone of Jim Ostrander's stories, even if they want to mix and match characters. Here's a couple story recommendations though, especially if you want to read old school Suicide Squad. There's the Phoenix Gambit. Batman has to help put together a new Suicide Squad team after the old team is disbanded. Amanda Waller's thrown in prison, so he has to work with her, who's a terrible person, to put together this shadow team. There's Against the Wall. That's really like an Amanda Waller versus Batman story. Like I said, it'd be really awesome to have the Suicide Squad go after one of the big Justice League characters. There's a really awesome story that they're probably never going to get to do called Apocalypse Now, where the Suicide Squad goes to Apocalypse and fights the minions of Darkseid. Even though, thanks to Enchantress, we know that magic exists. So there will be really crazy stuff, which is getting to Darkseid territory, but I feel like that's something you have to work up to. Think about how long it's going to take for the Avengers from the start of Phase 1, that first Iron Man film, to the time they're actually throwing punches with Thanos in Infinity War. That's almost like a 10-year jump for Marvel to go from zero to Thanos. So it's going to take DC a little while to go from zero to Darkseid. There is a really awesome Deadshot origin story just called Deadshot Beginnings. They could totally do a version of that, but you will probably see flashbacks for all the characters in Suicide Squad. You'll learn how they got to where they are. It's just that when you look at it all on paper, most of the story is about Harley Quinn and Joker. So let me know in the comments, without really knowing exactly what's going to be happening during the first Suicide Squad movie, aside from them going up against Joker, what do you want them to do in the sequel? Like, which characters do you want them to double down on? And which other characters would you want to see them bring into the team? I would love to see King Shark. And if the Suicide Squad is going to be the most outlandish, crazy franchise DC has, like Deadpool is to the X-Men universe, as Suicide Squad is to the DC universe, you have to crank the knobs to 11 for the sequel. So what's going to happen is there's a new episode of Legends of Tomorrow tonight. I was going to do an Arrow bonus video, but because there's a new episode of Legends, I'll do that first. I will do an Arrow bonus video tomorrow about the person in the grave. There's supposedly leaked pictures of the set. It's really not what people think it is, but I'll totally explain in my video tomorrow. So Legends video posting tonight. Be sure to subscribe to get that. And the DC giveaway is still going on. It's just a $20 Amazon gift card. I am so excited for Suicide Squad. You guys have no idea. If you really love Deadpool, Suicide Squad flows a lot from that energy. But while you guys wait for my Legends video to post tonight, you can click here for all my Suicide Squad videos, and you can click here to learn all about the Captain America Civil War teams. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. Let's high five. I'll see you guys tonight.